tbd1 cross-section Douglas TBD Devastator was an American torpedo bomber of the United States Navy. Ordered in 1934, it first flew in 1935 and entered service in 1937. At that point, it was the most advanced aircraft flying for the Navy. However, by the time of the U.S. entry into World War II, the TBD was already obsolete. The Devastator performed well early war, most notably in the Battle of Coral Sea, but earned notoriety for a catastrophic performance during the Battle of Midway, in which 41 Devastators recorded 0 torpedo hits with only 6 surviving to return to their carriers. Although much of the Devastator's dismal performance was later attributed to the many well-documented defect in the U.S. Mark 13 torpedo, the aircraft was withdrawn from frontline service after Midway, being replaced by the Grumman TBF Avenger. Design and development. The TBD1 with the original flat canopy in 1935. The first production TBD1 in 1937. A single TBD1 was tried as a floatplane. The Douglas TBD1 was ordered on the 30th of June, 1934 after being one of the winners of a U.S. Navy competition for new bombers to operate from its aircraft carriers. 1. Other aircraft also ordered for production as a result of the competition included the Brewster SBO, the Vought SB2U Vindicator, and the Northrop BT-1, the last of which would evolve into the Douglas SBD Dauntless. 2. The Great Lakes XB2G, Great Lakes XTBG, Grumman XSBF, Hall XPTBH, and Vought XSB3U were also tendered to the specification, but were not developed beyond prototype status. 2. The TBD Devastator flew for the first time on the 15th of April, 1935 while marking a number of firsts for the U.S. Navy. 3. It was the first American carrier-based monoplane to be widely used, the first all-metal naval aircraft, the first with a completely enclosed cockpit, the first with power-actuated, hydraulically, folding wings. 4. A semi-retractable landing gear was fitted, with the wheels protruding 10 in, 250 mm, below the wings to potentially limit damage to the aircraft in a wheels-up landing. A crew of 3 was normally carried beneath a large greenhouse canopy almost half the length of the aircraft. The pilot sat in front, a rear gunner, radio operator took the rearmost position, while the bombardier occupied the middle seat. During a bombing run, the bombardier lay prone, sliding into position under the pilot to sight through a window in the bottom of the fuselage, using the Norden bomb sight. 5. The normal TBD offensive armament consisted of either a 1,935 lb, 878 kilograms, Bliss-Leavitt Mark 13 aerial torpedo or a 1,000 lb, 450 kilograms, bomb carried semi-recessed in the fuselage. Alternatively, 3 500 lb, 230 kilograms, general-purpose bombs, 1 under each wing root and 1 inside the fuselage, or 12 100 lb, 45 kilograms, fragmentation bombs, 6 under each wing root, could be carried. This weapon's load would often be used when attacking Japanese targets on the Gilbert and Marshall Islands in 1942. 5. Defensive armament consisted of a 30 in, 7.62 mm, Browning machine gun for the rear gunner. Fitted in the starboard side of the cowling was either a 30 in, 7.62 mm, or 50 in, 12.7 mm, M2 Browning machine gun. 5. The power plant was a 850 horsepower, 630 kW, Pratt & Whitney R183060 for twin Wasp radial engine. A development of the prototype's 800 horsepower, 600 kW, Pratt & Whitney XR183060 R18301. 6. Other changes from the 1935 prototype included a revised engine cowling. 7. And a raised cockpit canopy to improve visibility. 4. The TBD had a flat canopy that was replaced on production models by a higher, domed canopy with a rollover bar. Other than requests by test pilots to improve pilot visibility, the prototype easily passed its acceptance trials that ran from the 24th of April to the 24th of November, 1935 at NAS, Naval Air Station, Anacostia and Norfolk bases. After successfully completing torpedo drop tests, the prototype was transferred to the Lexington for carrier certification. 8. The extended service trials continued until 1937 with the first to production aircraft retained by the company exclusively for testing. 9. The U.S. Navy's Bureau of Aeronautics, BUR, purchased 129 examples and began to equip the carriers USS Saratoga, Enterprise, Lexington, Wasp, Hornet, Yorktown and Ranger starting in 1937. Even pre-war, TBD units were being shifted to training duties, with at least one aircraft being converted to target tug duty. 10. By 1940, the U.S. Navy was aware that the TBD had become outclassed and a replacement, the Grumman TBF Avenger, was in the works, but it was not yet operational. When the U.S. entered World War II, attrition had by then reduced their numbers to just over 100 aircraft. 11. When the U.S. Navy assigned popular names to its aircraft in late 1941, the TBD became the Devastator.